Howdy folks, Kirk here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. We are inside. We're going to do a couple of these repairs on these newly installed vents throughout the house. I'm just going to show you one. The fella here that installed this vent, the guy emailed it to me, so I was looking at it. I thought I sure hope that the flanges are on the outside. So we came in here and adjusted it just a bit because see, this flange, actually the fellow who did this, he could have put studs in here and laid this on studs while this was empty. But since he didn't, what we are going to do is wire it. So here's how my way of repairing this. I brought this down a little bit because this level here, when everything is said and done, my stucco's got to be underneath here because that's going to give it some structural strength because it doesn't have the studs. He could have put a stud here and then one in here, and that would have held at least 3 sides. But he can use the bracket, which he did. We got here and it was, according to the photograph I looked at it looked off, and it was. So what we did was we unscrewed it and pulled it down just a hair. That being said and that being done, what we're going to do now is I've marked the edges here. Now I've got the nasty job of breaking this plaster out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it first. I'm going to take a utility knife and I marked it. So I want to be, it's kind of like sheetrock. When we do the mesh, it's a similar procedure. We're going to cut this out right here. I'm going to cut it out to the joist right here. And then in the field, this is called the field because it's between the joists or the studs. It's going to be spongy. So once I remove the plaster here, I'm going to take this wire here. I'm going to use it as my framing. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to cut it out just the same as my markings, and I'm going to slide it in. And I'm going to screw it into this because I can nail this one here, which is solid, but if I try to nail it in here, it'll bounce because it's in the field. So once I remove all of this, which is half the battle, I'm going to install this mesh. And then from there, I'm going to go with their same Portland cement. They did Portland here, and that's what I'm going to do because I want more strength than just plaster. So my first coat of mud is going to be Portland cement, and I'm going to use hot mud. Then my next coat of plaster is going to be, I'm going to use a 20-minute mud. I'm going to accelerate that so it's like 5 minutes. The interior muds come from 5 minutes to 4 hours. So I'm going to use a quick set interior mud for the final finish. Anyway, once I cut this out, I'll screw this on and I'll show you how to do that. One solid piece works better than a whole bunch of little pieces all over. Alright guys, what I've done is I took my knife and I scored everything. Here, I scored it here, and then I just took my chisel and just lightly just popped it right off. If you don't score it, the rest of this can come off. So you got to score it where you want to start and stop. Now I can do this 10 different ways. I can put it on the ground and take a measuring tape and measure this, or I can do it a simple way. Now what I want to do is I want to go, I'm just going to put a staple in here as a template to give me the cut I need. Alright, there's the cut I need. So now that I've got that particular cut, I'm going to hold this up, cut it out here, and then I'm going to screw it into here. I'm going to screw it everywhere, and then I'm going to cut this out. And I'm going to cut it out beyond the flange so that once this is on, I can tuck this underneath this flange. Then we're going to do the cement work. When we get to that stage, I'll show it to you also. Okay guys, I've got my cut in here, and now my cut I want below this flange, as it's going to be a support. Now that I had it screwed in, I unscrewed it, now I'm going to slide this guy in here. Yes, like so. Hopefully it'll fit. Ooh, yeah. Okay, fits well enough. Anything else I'll improvise. Now that I got this on exactly where I need it, I'm using flathead screws, which give me a little bit more bite. I'm going to screw it in, and I actually come prepared. I've got screws 1 inch, I got 1/2 inch. Sometimes when we do this, the longer the screw, it might need to take it at an angle to set it just right. And what I want to do here is I'm going to put a lot of screws because I want this is my stud basically. So I want this to be very tight. And again, on the joist here I can go a a lot of them. When I get into this spongy piece of lath right here, only a couple in here, then I use this as a support here because these are kind of spongy because they're in the field. Anyway, that's where we're going. When the next time you see me, I'll be doing the first coat of cement. All right, guys, I put a little bit of Weldcrete. I usually use Weldcrete on interiors. That's just to give it an extra bond. I got some real hot mud here. By the way, look how rigid this lath is. That's very rigid. Now this mud right here, Jay mixed it, and he's very good at mixing hot mud. So this is what I want to do. Get this first coat on, and within 5 minutes this will be set. Basically, the cement is going to mushroom above this mesh netting. There we go. And yes, I have had this fall in my face. Here we go. And as soon as this sets up, I'm going to hit it with some quick set 20-minute mud. And we're actually going to make it so it hardens in 5 minutes. This right here, I got about 5 minutes as is. See how stiff it's already getting. See that? That's pretty stiff mud with a lot of aluminite in here. Okay, here now we're kind of spongy because there's no studs. I never want to put my head right under it, because sure enough, that's the time it's going to fall on you. All right. Now I'm just going to chew it out and get it flush with the rest of the wall. And in 5 minutes, I'm going to cut it back. And when I say cut it back, I'm just going to use my edge like so and clean it up. So just like that. Clean it up, and then I'll clean the clinkers around here. Then I'll get ready to put my 20-minute mud on here. All right, guys. What I've done now is I've hard rubber floated it. And why I hard rubber floated it is I want to get it flat. And it also opens it so that the accelerator can dry it out. I'm taking a sponge float and I'm just going over it because what I want is I'm going to put a material. It's kind of like taping mud. It's real, well, it's 20-minute mud, but it looks like taping mud. I'm going to allow this to set another 15 minutes because I got a bunch of these I'm going to do. So could I put the taping mud on here right now? Yes, I can, but I have other things to do. And I want this to dry completely, because if I don't allow this to dry completely, what will happen is, as I'm putting the next coat of mud on here, it'll grab a grain of sand, and it'll pull that grain of sand, and it'll just make me work a little bit harder. All right, guys, got everything done a lot faster than I expected, so I'm down here a wee bit sooner, and here's what I'm going to do now. Skim this. Just skim it. And even in a 20-minute mud, which I'm using here, still requires a little bit of set time. So I'm done with all the rest of the patches. I just got this. I'm going to come around here like so. And give that about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to come and correct that. Got a couple little holes here. Don't need much. Might as well hit them while I'm here. And there you have it. Now it's a waiting game. Not as bad as taping mud where you're sitting here for hours waiting. 20 minutes means 20 minutes. So there you have it. The fella says, what's this stuff? I got a shower here. That's just the steam. The steam is rising, bubbling the paint. So I thought I'll scrape it off while I'm up there. Just like that. Okay, guys. We're almost at the conclusion of this. I am going to give this a little bit of time to set, and then I just trowel it and it's done. Okay guys, we're all set here. The rest of the 20-minute mud, I was able to do the rest of the patches, and they are actually setting up. This one is set up right now. You know, I switched to my pull trowel, and I'll show you why. Okay, you can't see the ceiling through that camera, but it looks like an orange peel. They used a heavy roller when they did it. So what I do is, if you wet the this material soon enough, it kind of brings it a little bit back to life. And what I'll do is I'll take my swimming pool trowel work, because it won't leave any joints, and I'll just take it this way and feather into the existing. I'll feather right into it, feather into it, and this gets rid of all the little cat faces, as we call them, and the little loose aggregate here and there. Now, as I do this, I'll take my float and I'll just float that in, and it's got to be at the right position. If it's not completely hard, then it'll just wipe it right off. So I just feather that in now with the green sponge float, and it's hard enough where even if I see a joint right here, I doubt the camera will show that, but I see a joint, I can just smooth it right in. Of course, while I was here, I just took care of these little patches too. Anyway, that's how you do these little bitty patches. Anyhow, my name's Kirk. I'm with Kirk Giordano Plastering. I'm with my two sons, Jason and Dan, who are helping me do this. Thank you folks for watching, and as usual, we'll see you guys on the next one.